Hey guys, Bitcoin on here. Bitcoin is getting scarcer and scarcer basically. The banks are trying to figure out a way to make money with Bitcoin, how to survive. They're wondering how will they survive on a Bitcoin standard. And one of the ways is that they will, what they're thinking of, what they're starting to offer, Strike was the first one I think. You give them your Bitcoin basically and you get a loan for half in fiat dollars for half the value of the Bitcoin. So if you give them $100,000 worth of if you give them one Bitcoin today, one Bitcoin is $90,000. They'll give you a maximum loan of $45,000 in dollars, and you have to pay it back within a year. Those terms don't look favourable to me anyway, and I would not be inclined to take them up on that proposal or proposition. No. They're looking for ways to get their hands on Bitcoin basically because they missed out when it was cheap and they could have bought all the Bitcoin in the world. At one stage the market capitalization of Bitcoin was less than $1 million. Today it's closer to $2 trillion. And they just don't have the capital basically to buy up all the Bitcoin. And if they embarked on a proposal basically to buy up all the Bitcoin, they would struggle basically because the price would go ballistic. Everyone else would start buying and there would be a buying frenzy, and the price would go to 1 million, 10 million, 50 million, 100 million, a billion if they kept buying basically. And banks do not have unlimited funds basically. They have reserves, but they can't just create money out of thin air and buy Bitcoin basically. That's not how it works. The way that they create money out of thin air is through lending basically. They can create loans out of thin air and lend the money into existence. So if you get a mortgage for $300,000, they create that out of thin air and lend you the $300,000. You pay that back over 20 or 30 years. But the banks are looking for ways basically to get their hands on Bitcoin, not crypto, Bitcoin specifically, Bitcoin. They're not interested in any of the altcoins, it's just Bitcoin basically, which is a good sign. But I would not be inclined to take them up on that offer basically. There were other ways as well that they were trying to get their hands on Bitcoin, and that was to do, I can't remember what it was now, but they can't really buy Bitcoin. The strategy has already beaten them to that basically, Michael Saylor's strategy, and it doesn't look like there's any catching strategy. Microsoft was about the only hope and they voted it down there late last year, October or November of last year. The board of Microsoft voted against it, so they won't be buying Bitcoin. The DOJ subpoena in America, the Department of Justice subpoenaed the Federal Reserve in America yesterday because of the spending basically that they're doing on the Eccles, their headquarters, the Eccles building in Washington DC. It's exorbitant. It's over $2.5 billion they're spending on their headquarters in Washington DC, and Trump feels that this is too much, and it's wasting money basically on wasting taxpayers' money on buildings, and he's right to point that out. But I didn't think he would take them to court. And he's trying to get rid of Jay Paul. Jay Paul's term ends on May, in May, which is only 4 months away now. We're in January today. But anyway, the banks are trying to get their hands on Bitcoin, and you can see the way that the US government is confiscating Bitcoin as well. Like governments around the British government confiscated Bitcoin, 60,000 Bitcoin from a Chinese criminal last year. So they are 60,000 Bitcoin to the better after that court case. And it's rumored that Venezuela has 600,000 Bitcoin after all of its oil sales. I doubt it very much. That would have been in the news before now, but it's just a rumor anyway, and it refuses to go away. And that's another way that governments are trying to get their hands on your Bitcoin basically, which is to prosecute, to prove that you broke the law and then confiscate all of your assets like the CAB, the Criminal Assets Bureau, do in Ireland. Yeah, that's the story for now anyway, guys. See you tomorrow.